I've been there. You see a cheap, fold-up dough roller on a clearance rack, think you've scored a bargain, and then after a couple of batches the rollers wobble, the motor sputters, and you're left with uneven dough and a lot of wasted time. That regret is what makes me pause before I hand over my money on any kitchen equipment, especially something as central to a bakery or serious home cook as a dough sheeter. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Coelalco Store commercial stainless steel tabletop dough sheeter feels like a different story. It's built like a piece of professional gear you'd expect to see in a small batch bakery, not a flimsy gadget you toss on a countertop for a weekend experiment. The first thing that struck me was the sheer size of the rollers. They're large enough to handle a full sheet of pasta dough or a hefty loaf of bread without the constant need to refeed, which is a problem you run into with the smaller, budget models that claim compact but end up requiring you to stop every few minutes to realign the dough. When I set this thing up in my own kitchen, the layout was surprisingly straightforward. The steel frame sits on a standard 2 by 4 foot workbench, and the foot pedal for the motor is positioned where your foot naturally rests while you're rolling out dough. There's a clear, single-hand lever to adjust the roller gap, so you can go from a thick pizza base to paper-thin lasagna sheets without having to turn a wrench or remount the rollers. The adjustment feels solid, not the loose click-into-place you get on cheaper units that slip under the pressure of dough. What really matters in daily use is how the machine handles the inevitable mess that comes with flour, butter, and sticky doughs. The stainless steel rollers stay cool for longer than the aluminum ones I've used before, which means the dough doesn't stick as badly, and the cleaning process is almost painless. A quick wipe with a damp cloth does the trick. There's no hidden crevice where flour builds up and later contaminates the next batch. That ease of cleaning is a hidden trade-off many low-priced sheeters ignore, opting instead for a cheaper coating that peels after a handful of uses. Now, let's talk about the motor and speed control. The sheeter offers an adjustable roller speed range that's genuinely useful. If you're working with a delicate pastry dough, you dial the speed down, and the motor runs smoothly without jerking the dough. For thicker breads, you push the speed up and get a consistent pressure that flattens the dough evenly. The only downside I noticed is that the motor, while powerful enough for most home and small shop needs, does hum a bit louder than a high-end commercial unit. In a busy kitchen that's probably nothing to worry about, but if you're in a quiet apartment and plan to run it late at night, the sound could be a minor annoyance. Who should actually consider buying this dough sheeter? If you're a home baker who regularly makes pizza, pasta, croissants, or artisan breads, the machine saves you a ton of hand-rolling time and delivers consistent thickness that's hard to replicate with a rolling pin. It's also a solid entry point for anyone starting a small-scale bakery or food truck operation. You get the durability of stainless steel and a professional-grade motor without the price tag of a full-size industrial line. The large roller size means you can keep the workflow moving. You're not constantly stopping to refeed dough, which translates into higher output and less fatigue. On the flip side, if you're only looking to roll out a couple of simple tortillas a week, the investment might feel overkill. A basic, inexpensive roller could handle that without the footprint of a commercial-style unit. Also, if you have extremely limited counter space, the tabletop dimensions are bigger than a standard countertop appliance. While it's designed to sit on a sturdy workbench, you'll need to plan for a dedicated spot, which could be a deal-breaker in a cramped kitchen. Another practical strength is the durability of the materials. The entire frame is stainless steel, not a plastic shell with a steel roller insert. That means the unit can handle the weight of large dough batches without flexing, and it resists corrosion from occasional splashes of water or oil. I've seen cheaper models where the plastic housing cracks after a few months of heavy use. This one feels like it could survive years of daily production. A subtle weakness shows up when you try to switch between very different dough types in quick succession. The roller gap adjustment is quick, but you still need to give the motor a moment to settle when you go from a light, airy dough to a heavy, doughy one. Jumping straight from a stiff rye dough to a delicate phyllo without letting the machine idle for a few seconds can cause a slight unevenness on the first few passes. It's not a fatal flaw, just a reminder that even a professional-grade tool benefits from a little patience. Overall,